Welcome to Weekly Wisdom Live, brought to you by WOII, Women of Impact and Innovation International, honoring wisdom while building the next generation of innovative women leaders. Each month, we'll be focusing on one topic, and each week, we'll be diving into different aspects of that topic. This month, we're going to be talking about stress awareness. My name is Michelle Malo, and we have a wonderful panel of experts here today. Dr. Shelley,
Hello.
Hipsky, did I say that right? I didn't want
Absolutely.
to.
Of
Okay.
course.
Sarah Macon,
Hello.
welcome. Lori Paul
Hello, everyone.
and Tanya Basher.
Hello.
Um, so we want this to be an interactive experience. So please enter in any questions or comments in the chat box, and we will address as many of your responses and questions as possible. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Shelley.
I'm so excited to be here. These are amazing women that are here from the WOII, from the Global Sisterhood, people that are really immersed in the whole movement of helping us to get over our stressors, helping us to conquer our mental health issues. I mean, we've got Sarah Macon, who runs an incredible therapy practice here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. She does a fantastic job with that. Lori Paul has done wonderful work in the addiction area, so that we are not going into having, stressful times and we reach for the bottle, or, reach for reach for something else that could be negative for us as an addiction. And Tanya is fantastic as well. She actually has worked with me. I have worked with her. Like, I have surrendered to the fact that I went through some mental health stuff when it came to falling in love with people who were narcissists. Oh my gosh, we're going deep real quick, aren't we, Michelle?
Yes. Been there, done that.
So yeah, see this, and that's a common theme, I think, with a lot of women that could be powerhouse type A, go for it women, that they're going into these trauma type of situations. And she also helps women that are in business kind of get through some of those money blocks that we have, which brings major stress to us, right? So I thought that gathering these incredible ladies would be fantastic. And Michelle, you're the cherry on top of the cake for us. Thank you so much for bringing your wisdom to today. But I wanted to start off with what we do personally, like we're not just talking about what we tell our clients. What do we do personally for stress relief? I'm going to start with eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Let's start with Tanya. What do you do for stress relief, honey?
Oh, stress relief. Music for sure. When I'm feeling stressed, music always brings me back to center. Definitely getting out in nature. I am a big avid kayaker, mountain bike rider, anything to do with the outdoors. There's something about being in nature that will just calm you down super fast. So any of those are my go-to, Shelley.
I love it. Michelle, what do you do for stress relief when you're like, woo, you're at your peak?
Yeah, same thing with nature. I just have to get up and walk away, because instead of like pushing, because my intention is always like, I'm just going to push through this because I got to get this done. And then you just spin your wheels. So I always have to just get up, and even if it's just a quick walk or going to the park. But those are the type of things. And then I do breathing exercises too, to just kind of calm myself down.
That is beautiful. Like, my son, who is on the autism spectrum, Jacob, he has actually been really wonderful lately with telling me when I need to stop. Like, when he's like, Mom, stop. You are stressed. Let's put away the computer. Let's go for a walk. Let's do this stuff. And I'm like, he's really learned those coping mechanisms over time. And he now sees when mom's stressed, or when his sister's stressed, or when his friends are stressed, and he can go into that, which is amazing for a kiddo that's ASD. So I just think that's such a blessing that when we have those people that can help us when we can't self-regulate. Lori, I know that you're very close with your son as well. And
yeah, that's why I'm laughing, because they end up parenting us.
Yes.
Yeah.
They do, don't they? Yeah, it's wild. So tell us about what you do for stress relief, because I know that you're not out there boozing since you're an expert on addiction.
Yes. So I found a long time ago, when I was in my 20s, I found the gym. due to a traumatic experience that I went through. And it ended up becoming my sanctuary. I have two sanctuaries. That is one of them. And it's a place I go where I feel safe. I'm having an outlet for, and I'm trying to redefine the word stress and not use the word stress because I keep saying it and I get myself more upset. So I try to consider it an inconvenience. This is an inconvenience in my life. So I do that, and I found out I didn't use Lamaze when I was giving birth to my son, but I use it for these situations now. So that breathing, it works.
It does work. It absolutely does work. I know Tanya's going to help us lead us through some things later on in the show so that we can, do a little meditation, a little decompression together as a group. So I thank you for that, Tanya, already. But yes, when it comes to the do we pick up the bottle or do we pick up the weights? I think it's an important decision to make because I'm a social drinker. I do enjoy a pomegranate martini. I do enjoy, like dabbling in that, but I know where my limits are with it. And I think that that's important to have boundaries with addictions and with everyday life. Friends, sometimes we need boundaries. Sarah Macon, woo-hoo! She is a powerhouse therapist. Can you tell us what you do to help you with stress relief?
Yeah, definitely. So for myself, I notice I typically feel it right when I first wake up. And actually, most people's cortisol levels are the highest in the mornings.
Yes.
And cortisol is the hormone that makes you feel like you're stressed out. So I like to do lists and just do a lot of brain dumps. And for me, that's super helpful because the stress is many times things that have to get done or ideas that I have or just different things that are in my mind. So for me, doing a brain dump and, journaling first thing or shortly after I wake up. And if it's work related stuff, I directly put it in the systems that it needs to go on. And if it's personal related things, then, can I follow up with whatever text messages I need to follow up with? Or can I put together like an itemized list of stuff that I have to do? And many times just getting that together is very helpful. So that way it's not like roaming around in my head. And I normally like to listen to something either funny shortly afterwards or something that's very inspirational. So it depends on what mood I'm in. If I'm kind of struggling emotionally or not doing amazing, the comedy typically helps me out if I like listening to something funny as I'm starting to get ready for the day. But if I'm already feeling pretty good, then something inspirational to like kind of take me to that next level is typically really, really helpful.
That is awesome. Yeah. So I totally agree. I'm very into like listening to different people's podcasts and doing the inspirational things and the journaling. Of course, I'm huge on that as well. Were there any strategies that you've gotten from different mentors throughout your life as far as how to deal with stress? So who wants to take that one? Who wants to take mentors that have taught you how to do some stress relief? I'm looking for a hand.
I can start.
Go for it, Sarah.
Start. Sometimes it really depends on the situation that you're in. Because sometimes when we experience stress, it's because of how we're psychologically looking at something. We think that something is bigger than ourselves or that you're not capable of doing something or you have some type of rationalization or some type of mental block, just like we were talking about with money. And so sometimes knowing and having some evidence behind you of like, I've done X, Y, and Z, and therefore these other goals that I'm working on are completely possible, can really help with increasing your belief within yourself, which may help to reduce your stress levels. But sometimes it's just how we look at a situation, and reframing your thoughts about what is happening can really help out. But it ultimately depends, because sometimes people get stressed out because they want something or they're working on something and it hasn't happened yet.
Yes.
Or it can be an external situation. or it can be how they're looking at something, because two people can experience the exact same thing and have two completely different perceptions of it. So the way that you look at things is really important, and the biggest person that helps you out is really yourself.
Yes. So self-mentoring. So taking your mind back to a time when you conquered it, and you conquered another obstacle and you got through it and you survived it, and now you're thriving. That can definitely help. Tanya, what do you say to that question when it comes to have you gotten any good advice from a mentor, from a coach, from your
Yes,
readings
definitely.
about how to do stress relief?
Definitely. So going through my trauma-informed somatic coaching. So a somatic just means feeling it in your body. And I think the biggest aha for me when I learned this, and it was like, is that our brains are designed to keep us safe and away from perceived danger. And the key word is perceived, right? So if this is your brain, your prefrontal cortex is your thinking part of your brain. This is your emotional part of your brain. And the emotional part is connected to your fight, flight, freeze system, right?
Yeah.
So when we feel like we're in danger for whatever reason, the prefrontal cortex can't really think straight. That's when you're like flipping your lid, not thinking straight, and the fog comes. Your emotional brain just takes over. You go into fight, flight, freeze. The key to me is recognizing that initial feeling in your body. So for me, it's like my throat starts to close up, my shoulders feel tense.
Mhm.
If I feel that happening, I'm like, okay, something must be stressing me out. What's going on? Be aware of my circumstances, be aware of my thoughts, just like Sarah said. Like, what is making me not feel safe right now? What is stressing me out, right? And then being able to identify those feelings in your body first is a really great way to kind of stop it in its tracks, reset. Okay, so I'm not thinking this the right way. Maybe I need to rethink this, or maybe my circumstances are a little bit scary right now. So what can I do? Can I call a friend? What can I do to help this? But for me, the biggest aha was we feel it before we think it. And once you really kind of tune into your body and how your body's feeling, it's life-changing. It's incredible. It's a great way to be able to kind of stop it in its tracks.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Lori Paul, what are you thinking about this? Like when she's talking about that, my body, I'm like, okay, am I feeling the stress in my neck? Am I feeling, do I have those little feelings in my tummy? Like how am I feeling all the stress? What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I'm a self-reflecting person too, and I've had many mentors in my life from little to college, and Dr. Shelley, of course, you're right up there. You've been amazing to me, parental at times as we've talked, but I think that I have started to, for a really long time, made the connection to my overall health and how it affects me and my stress. And what I mean by that is if I'm not getting sleep, if I'm not hydrating myself, if I'm eating a bunch of junk, if I'm on my phone right before I fall asleep, all of those things contribute to me being off balance. So if I'm not preparing the body that I live in, that, I can rely on many of you ladies here I know very well, but you're not always accessible. So I have to know how to take care of myself in those situations. And I'm learning if I don't take care of this body that I'm in, it's going to betray me. And how I look at stress. Do I want to continue to say the word stress, or do I want to redefine it so it doesn't sound so bad? Like, I broke my wrist recently. I became quote unquote stress, and I'm like, no, it's not stress. It's an inconvenience. It's changing how you're living your life temporarily. But is it a moment for me to get in touch with slowing myself down? Many people would happily have a broken wrist compared to some of the health issues that they have. So I'm looking at myself and facing the reality that I'm living in. Is this really that bad? Or am I blowing it out of proportion and doing the, oh, woe is me, and not fighting it head on, and I'm feeding it more power than it deserves? I need to take away the power and say, is it really stress, or am I creating that actual environment of stress. So I'm working really hard on saying, I'm pulling the plug on this. This really isn't stress. Like stress is something more powerful, but everybody's idea and definition of stress, I don't want to minimize because mine might not be as big to somebody and vice versa. So I think I'm looking more or less at if I keep myself healthy enough, maybe I won't let certain things affect me the way that they are. And maybe I'll get past it easier and look at it differently. So I think that's how I'm doing it. Again, it's not always easy. It's easy to say, I'll eat that food. I'll skip working out, and it catches up to you. But I feel it when I don't do it, and I notice how I attack things in life. I mean, not physically attack anybody, but I attack those problems and those scenarios, and how I embrace things that happen that I don't expect. So I think that's how I look at it.
Absolutely. So we can look at it at not just as a stressor, but we can look at it as a challenge, as an obstacle, as something that we can get up and over, right? Michelle, how would you like to contribute to this? What are your thoughts as we're talking through this whole stress relief scenario?
Well, like Lori said, you've had a lot of mentors and things throughout the years, and my mom would be just like, knock it off. Okay, that's not really helpful. So you have to choose what advice you want to adhere to. But I did have a couple folks who said that we are bombarded by so many things between social media, the news, all the stuff that's happening. And there's times that you're like driving home from work, or you're driving and you don't even remember how you got there.
Mm-hmm.
So how can you eliminate that outside noise so that you can actually kind of reconnect with yourself? Because I've been told you're 3 breaths away from a different mindset. So if you literally just take that minute for 3 deep, long breaths, you're actually going to feel better. And, I do transition coaching, right? So I deal with a lot of people that are stressed. They've either lost their jobs, they're going through a divorce, they're all these different things. So I always tell them, especially like in a job situation, I don't know what I'm going to do. How am I going to get a job? I always tell them to do their resume. I haven't done that in 20 years. Said, I need you to do that because now you're going through a process to start acknowledging everything and all the accomplishments that you've done. And then at that point you can say, wow, when I first looked at that, I was here and now I'm here. And look at all this collective experience. It tends to take away the stress, to give you back the self-confidence that you can handle the situation. So that always seems to work. And in terms of a divorce, sometimes it's just like, holy cow, I escaped that, and I had the courage enough to get out of a situation that wasn't good. It's stressful, but in the long run, it's actually going to serve you and your mindset and, back to getting your health back and all of that. Because I'll be the first one to tell folks, I've had a few things happen over the last 6 months, landed me in the ER, complete blood pressure, 225 over 180, because stress. I mean, that's literally what, and I allowed that. And I teach this. So, it happens to the best of us. And that's why having a collective group of a network or a mentor, a real, friends, whatnot, just so that you can create that boundaries, that safe space, and really look and have the confidence to know that this too shall pass.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I feel like Tanya needs to chime in on this. Tell us what's going on in your heart, because I know you.
I'm listening to all of this, and and you're so right, Michelle. Like, we all know, all of us on this video screen right now, we all know what to do, but life can be kind of sneaky sometimes, and it can catch up with you, and it can kind of snowball you. And it really is, it's super important to have people that you trust, that you can reach out to, whether it's a coach or a therapist or just a really good friend, or, hopefully you have a good relationship with your mom or your dad, but somebody that you can trust, because it's not always possible to call your therapist, right? It's not always possible to reach out to a coach, but having a safe person that you can call when maybe you just need a hug over the phone is huge. It's huge. And we all need that. We're all designed for connection, and we all need to have that one safe person that we can call and text or, shoot a quick email too, like, I need a hug right now, or this is going on right now. Talk me off the ledge. It's
Yes.
important.
A couple of ladies on this call are that person from me, so thank you. Sarah, talk to us from a therapist perspective. How do you talk to women through this type of a scenario when they're going through this fight or flight because they're going through this horrible, stressful situation and they think it's never going to end? What do you say to that lady out there?
Yeah, that is a really great question. And I love what Tanya mentioned earlier about the breathing.
Yes.
Breathing really does help, because one of the first things that starts to happen when you get stressed is your breaths become more shallow. But the challenge with that is that when you have short and shallow breaths, that actually makes your anxiety or your stress much worse, because you're not getting enough oxygen, and it just fuels the cycle really quickly. So typically the first thing that we suggest and teach patients who struggle with chronic stress or chronic anxiety is deep breathing. And the nice thing too, especially if you're a working professional, or you're like a working mom, or out and about with your kids, it's not always possible to do a meditation right when you get stressed out, or to truly walk away. Because what happens if you're getting stressed out in the middle of a business meeting or meeting
while you're driving?
Exactly.
Right.
But what can be done is deep breathing, essentially, no matter where you are. And there's so many different types of deep breathing techniques, but that's typically the first thing that we teach as a coping skill. And the second thing we teach is we provide some essentially psychoeducation about, there's called an anxiety bell curve. And essentially, we work with the clients to help to provide education about what that is, and also how to effectively cope with whatever's chronically stressing them out. Because the challenging thing is I can't provide a blanket answer to that, because it really depends on the specific situation and what's stressing the person out. Because sometimes it's truly a valid stressor, or something that no matter what, they're chronically going to be stressed out if that thing is consistently in their life. And then finally is helping patients work towards having what's called an internal locus of control rather than external locus of control. So when you have an internal locus of control, you believe that you have influence over your own life, and that you believe that you have choices and your choices shape your life. Versus if someone has an external locus of control, they think it's the government that controls their life, or their parents, or their spouse, or their ex-boyfriend from 30 years ago, or whomever, and they don't believe that they have control over their life. And a lot of people who struggle with very severe chronic stress have an external locus of control. So we help to provide them with skills so they start to think that they have more control over their lives, because the reality is that we do have control over our lives. And or if you don't right now, you can start to gain some skills to help to change that mindset, which is easier said than done. And that's the thing with stress management. Some of these things, it sounds very easy, but it's truly the implementation of things that makes all the difference.
Absolutely agree.
Dr. Shelley, just wanted to make sure we're getting up on the 24-minute mark. So I know we want to do something with Tanya and all that. So I just want to.
Perfect. I love it. Before we do anything with Janet, can we have just a sentence about if you were talking to the woman that's behind the screen that's watching us on their iPad or on their phone? I'm going to start with Sarah. What would you tell them so that they know that they will get over whatever obstacle they're going through?
Yeah, so no ups and downs in life are temporary, that the highs and the best parts of life, they don't last forever, just like the lows don't last forever. And if it's something that, if you're in a situation where you're really stressed out, or in a lifestyle where you're stressed out, I would highly suggest to reach out to a therapist or a coach to support you, because we can most certainly help.
Absolutely. Lori Paul, you're on. What would you say to that woman that's watching and saying, oh, it's never going to be over. I'm in the thick of it.
Yes, it will, and I think this is what shapes us as women. These hard times, we really don't realize the strength that we have within ourselves. Again, I agree with Sarah. I think you need to have a wellness team, and that can be comprised of, your primary care doctor, your therapist, a coach, whomever, friends, your church, but you need to be around the people that will uplift you and see that you have the strength to get through it and help you through it. Not necessarily solve it for you, but know that by looking at you and knowing you, that you have the ability to do that. And it's something you need to go to help you go through, to help you grow. And it will make you a stronger woman in the end. And you'll be able to conquer other things later in life.
Absolutely. Michelle, same question. What would you say to that lady?
Really quick, give yourself space with grace. And don't compare yourself to other folks. Facebook and all that is a facade. Everyone's got things. You will get through it, but give yourself absolute grace with what you're going through.
Absolutely. And I would say you are worthy, you are enough, you are beautiful spirit, and you have so much to give the world, and the world needs what you have to provide. So tap into your strength, your inner strength, tap into your friends, tap into your networks, and find your way to the other side, and get to the top, and we will see you there. And Tanya, I'm going to ask you the same thing, and then lead us through the breathing exercise, meditation, and then Michelle will take us home. Here we go.
Okay, so breathe. This too shall pass. So we're going to do a really quick, just 5 minute. I don't even want to say meditation. It's just like an exercise that we can do together that's going to kind of help us learn how to start from the tip of our heads to the bottom of our toes, and really lean into some ways of de-stressing. So I want to make sure my music's not too loud.
The sound.
Okay, we only have 3 minutes left, though. So we have to.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, and we're given only 3 minutes left. So,
all right. Well, we'll do the quick version of this then. So I'd like for you to just get really comfortable at home and here on the screen in your chair, and just take a deep breath. Put your feet flat on the floor and really feel your feet connecting with the ground underneath you. And just take a nice deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. So I'd like to have you focus on your toes on the ground. Just kind of scrunch them up and then release them. Now go to your ankles, your calf muscles, your knees, and your thighs. And just let the tension go from each of those areas of your body. Remember to let any thoughts that you may have right now just kind of float up and away from you, as though in an air bubble. Now relax your buttocks, your pelvic area. Begin to notice any tension that you may have in your back. Breathing deeply in. And as you breathe out, slowly relax and release any tension that you have in your back. Moving to your shoulders, lift them up and then release them completely. Wonderful. Now we'll move to our neck and our jaw muscles. Take a deep breath in, and as you breathe out, let go of any tension that you're holding in your neck or your jaw. And finally, to the top of your head. Hunch your shoulders up one last time. As you release your shoulders and remain, any tension that's remaining can just sink down and flow out of you. Wonderful. Now take another deep breath and enjoy this feeling of relaxation and calm for a little longer. I'd like you to slowly bring your attention back into the room, noticing the sounds around you. And when you're ready, open your eyes. So that was a really quick version of what typically takes 5 minutes, but the idea is to start at the top of your head and go to your toes, or start from your toes and go up, and just be mindful about each part of your body, resting it and relaxing it and getting the tension out of each part of your body as you go. And you don't need a script. You can just do that as you are imagining, from the tip of your head to the top of your head to the tip of your toes. So thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Tanya. And Michelle, let's take it home.
Yeah, thank you, ladies, so much. This was so helpful. I feel like weren't new friends in case I have any stress problems. But again, thank you for taking the time to do that. And I know that we're going to be bringing in Sabrina to kind of tie this all up for us. So again, thank you for your time, and thank you for everyone who's been listening.
Absolutely.
So I want to thank everyone for joining us as we wrap up our last week of National, it's actually International Stress Awareness Month. Our 4 weeks have been very informative. We talked about different types of stress, and today we actually went through an exercise of how to relieve stress. Very much appreciated. And this is what WOIII is all about. We want to encourage you to invite your friends to join us here on this platform, to become a member of our Facebook group. We love to have you. Invite your friends also. If you would like to be considered as an ambassador board, please reach out to me, Sabrina Protic. I will get you some information. I will need your email address, and I'll send the necessary information that you will need. We have some wonderful things going on. We have outreach events. We have themed events going on in WOII. Dr. Shelley is very aware of that. We have a huge event coming up August 25th, 26th, 27th. That location will be announced soon, so hold on to your hat. It's coming. It's going to be very exciting. Dr. Shelley. Mom's
Anybody
the
that knows,
word.
top secret for right now.
I know. Mom's the word. Again, thank you for joining us, and thank this wonderful panel. And we will see you next month for another Facebook Live with a new topic for the month. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.